Hi, I'm Ranger Elizabeth at Lake Mead National Recreation Area. The historic railroad trail located near the Lake Mead Visitor Center brings us into direct contact with the rich history of Hoover Dam and the creation of Lake Mead.
It also provides some outstanding scenic views of the lake and its mountain setting. It is one of southern Nevada's most unique trail experiences.
Come along with us on this virtual hike. The history is as exciting as the recreation opportunities. This wide, flat trail follows a former railroad grade for approximately 2 miles through a series of 5 tunnels. It is perfect for families with strollers and is wheelchair accessible. For an enjoyable, safe visit, we recommend sturdy walking shoes, a hat, sunscreen, and sunglasses. Carry at least 1 gallon of water per person. The construction of Hoover Dam was an immense engineering challenge, one that required the transport of many tons of materials and massive machinery. 30 miles of railroad were built to connect Boulder City with all the facilities needed to build the dam. This trail represents the only remaining section of Hoover Dam railroad system that is not highly disturbed or underwater. Other sections have been submerged by the lake or were lost to development. The trail we're on follows the old standard gauge railbed east toward Hoover Dam. Trains pulled by steam and gas locomotives ran 24 hours a day, carrying gravel supplies and machinery to the dam construction site. It was a busy place. Each phase of construction of the dam presented its own engineering challenge. The concrete plugs down below here represent one of those challenges. The plugs were put in place during construction of the dam to block the water intake until the turbines were installed. Today, they serve as reminders of the scope of the project. This is the first of 5 tunnels along this trail. As we travel through it, it is hard not to be awed by the size of it. All the tunnels are approximately 300 feet in length and 25 feet in diameter, but it is the height that seems really impressive. They were built this large to fit penstock sections and the large equipment being transported to Hoover Dam. The size of the tunnels gives a glimpse of the scale of the project. Can you imagine what it would have sounded like to hear a train roar through this tunnel? How the sound would have filled the space? The history of the railroad is not the only story this trail tells. The multicolored rocky landscapes around Lake Mead tell a story that spans a vast expanse of time. Few places on Earth reveal so much geology as this area does. This vantage point provides an excellent view of the many mountains and points of interest in the desert around Lake Mead. The mountains tell the story of the landscape over the past 1.5 billion years. The muddy mountains in the distance are composed of limestones that formed in a marine environment. Fortification Hill is topped by a cap of black basalt, the result of many lava flows, the youngest of which is 5 million years old. Saddle Island is composed of the oldest known metamorphic rock in the park. As we approach Tunnel 2, look at its size, multiply it by 5, and you begin to get a sense of the huge quantity of rock that was removed in the construction of the tunnels. The volcanic rock that these tunnels were dug through is very hard. The rough-hewn nature of the walls is testament to the hardness of that rock. In spite of debilitating 100-degree heat, hard volcanic rock, pounding jackhammers, falling rocks, swirling clouds of dust and sand, the men boring and digging the 5 tunnels in this ridge worked around the clock and completed the project for the federal government in 5 months in 1931. As we leave Tunnel 2, take a look out and imagine what life was like here during the Great Depression before the lake existed. Tens of thousands of hopeful workers flocked to the dam site with their families, camping out in temperatures that reached 120 degrees Fahrenheit. At its peak, the project employed 5,251 people. The workers building the tunnels lived in wooden cabins, tattered tents, and cardboard dwellings below here, in a place known as Ragtown. We can see the evidence of the Mexican free-tail bats that take up residence between May and October every year. These bats love to roost in dark tunnels like these. Free-tail bats consume enormous amounts of insects every night. They are wonderfully agile and swift in flight. About 1,000 bats live here in this tunnel during the summer months. Though there is a vast quantity of water stored in Lake Mead, rain in the surrounding desert is rare. Any plant or animal species we see along the way represents a story of natural history eons in the making. It takes some very special adaptations to survive. For example, this creosote bush has waxy leaves that only photosynthesize in the early mornings when humidity is relatively high and loss of water during the process is the lowest. Other common plants seen along the trail are desert fir and brittlebush, each with its own set of adaptations that allows it to grow here. Don't be disappointed if we don't spot any large animals such as bighorn sheep or coyotes on our hike today. But sightings of smaller animals such as lizards, ravens, and quail can be just as fun. Once you start observing carefully, you'll note animals everywhere, living fascinating lives here in the desert. Photographers love to use these tunnels as framing devices. It can be fun to try to capture the colors and textures of the rock while finding just the right angle to frame a hiking companion, the mountains, or a distant landscape. Photography is a great way to experience and observe the trail. The Las Vegas Boat Harbor, seen in the distance, has been operating on the lake since 1957. Tunnel 5 was burned in 1978 and was sealed for safety reasons. However, the trail was such a great opportunity to experience the history of the dam that the National Park Service, together with the Bureau of Reclamation, sought funding to stabilize the tunnel by applying shotcrete to the walls and ceiling so that it could be reopened in 2001. It was designated a National Recreation Trail in 2015 and became one of over 1,200 designated trails across America. Lake Mead National Recreation Area is, above all, a place of transformation. Where once the Colorado River ran untamed through a parched landscape, Lake Mead now sparkles a deep, entrancing blue in the middle of the desert. From here, we can only see a fraction of the 200,000 acres of lake that was created by the dam. It is the largest reservoir in the country and is the nation's premier recreation area, visited by millions of people every year. The Historic Railroad Trail is a great place to learn about America's history and contemplate the future in a setting of great natural beauty. We hope you have enjoyed this virtual stroll along the Historic Railroad Trail and invite you to celebrate the National Trails system. You'll find fun, fitness, and community along with inspiration no matter which trail you choose to explore.